How you and y'all? Welcome to Confidence. I had to fucking ghost somebody this week. So there's that. And here's the thing, like most people be like, well, you really shouldn't ghost people, right? It's bad. But honestly, I do want to say something. I feel like there definitely is a time and a place to ghost somebody. Like if you've communicated, you've said what you needed to say, you've been vulnerable, you've been honest, especially early on in the dating process, you've only had like one or two hangouts, maybe even none, and they're already being dismissive, short, ignoring you. Cut that shit off. No explanation needed. I don't need that. Because what's crazy is if I even explained myself, I probably wouldn't even get a response for a day and a half anyways. So that's where your boy has been at. Honestly, I'm not really a very pessimistic person, right? I mean, the reality is I do believe that my person is out there, and I do trust that entirely. I really do. Really do believe that. But there are fucking times where that belief is motherfucking tested. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is not easy sometimes dating. It really is not. In this world, woo. Because again, sometimes, like I said, I feel like I'm very like optimistic about these things, but over the last like few weeks just being single, and this is something that we're going to have to really talk about deeply, right? Because we're going to talk a little bit about like needing attention and whatnot. You guys know I've been on that fucking vibe where I'm like trying to really just like cut it all out. And I'm going to tell you why that's important in a minute, but just like, I'm going to let myself just be like vulnerable and real. It's like, sometimes that shit's hurtful, bro. Just to be real, sometimes that shit sucks. Like, people not showing up for you. And especially the ones like, the ones that get me are the ones that shock me. Like the ones that shock me are the people that like, you really do have like this good vibe with. Like there's a girl, and that's what I'm saying, the girl that I'm in the process of ghosting. Like we literally, like I met her probably like a month ago at a coffee shop, whatever. And like, we've always like liked each other's shit and like DM'd here and there. So it was never like this like feisty entrance, right? It was a very, very natural way of like communicating, talking, whatever. We meet up, and yeah, I don't know. Like the vibe was great, genuinely. And I still, even to this day, right? Even in the process of what I'm doing right now, like it's not like she's dead in the water, because to me, if there is some accountability that's going to be taken on her side, then fine. But there's just times where you need to learn to hold a boundary. So let me get there. Let me bring this home. So, anyways, we're talking, like we end up meeting up like last week, bro. Like I said, great vibe, like good energy, hard worker, exactly my type. Like it really, I think we had a really good time. Like, I feel like the conversation was great. I know she had a good time too. But something that I could tell with her is that she definitely was very hesitant. And I find this with a lot of women, and especially my avoidant women, is you're very reluctant and maybe insecurely attached. It doesn't matter. But you're very reluctant to give somebody any energy of any sort, because you just don't want to be taken advantage of. And this is stuff that, guys, I've worked through, right? Like some of my biggest fear in relationships, being an avoidant myself, has been like, yeah, I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look needy. I don't want to be taken advantage of. No one really does. But sometimes it's like, now that I've done a lot of this work, sometimes it's hard, right? Because I date somebody and they're like 26. And, you could just tell like they have the patterns, right? It's like they're showing up, like we hung out. She ended up like cooking for me and was really like being like, oh, I don't normally do this for guys because every single time I do this for a guy, like they take advantage, or I'm doing this for them and they're talking to 5 other girls. So like, I don't really like doing this stuff. And I don't know, I made a whole fucking video on TikTok if you want to watch it about like, I don't know. I just feel like people like that are just very jaded. They have a lot of trust issues, and it makes sense. Again, like I said, I've been there. And the problem is like, you don't want to show up. You don't want to be vulnerable because you just don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to look weak. You don't want to look clingy. You don't want to look too much. None of this. But then inadvertently what happens is like you show up as a shell of yourself, because you know that you want to show up genuine. You know you want to show up real, but then you end up not, because you're scared of somebody not showing up for you. And I don't know, I guess I understand that too, because what I guess I'm trying to say right now is that I feel like lately, over the last like few months, it's like, I feel like I really have been like pretty vulnerable and pretty honest with people, like communicating, especially very early on. And again, I'm working on setting some better boundaries earlier on in the process. But with that being said, it's not easy when you're doing that a lot and you are being vulnerable and people are not showing up. That's what I'm trying to say. Like I want to say like over the last like 5 or 6 dating situations, like, bro, it really has not worked out. And that gets fucking frustrating. It's hard. It makes you like blame the dating pool. Last week I was talking about my marketing, right? My marketing sucks. The way that I show my value to people, I don't know if I've been doing in the right way, especially early on in the process, right? Slowing down that pace and just, being a little bit more true to myself. But yeah, anyways, she's making some of these comments, but regardless, right? Like it is what it is. We're having a really good time. And yeah, so, one thing leads to another. I wasn't even looking to do anything crazy, but shit pops off and again, like I said, we have a really good time. I walk her to her car. Everything's great. But yeah, the conversation after that flowed pretty nicely too. It's like I said, text me when you get home. She texted me if she gets home. Good vibes. I was like, all right, crush your day tomorrow. Let's go in. And it's weird because like texting was fine after that, right? It wasn't weird. Like the 2 days after, it was like, okay, have a good day, whatever. Enjoy your day, blah, blah, blah. We didn't make another plan to like meet up again. And like I said, she does have this like fear, I think, of me maybe being a whore of some sort. Who knows? I'm sure every girl fucking does, right? Do you guys not? And I think especially with me too, something that I encounter a little bit more than other people is that because I have a platform and because I have, I guess a following, girl attention, whatever it is, my energy, my swagger, I truly feel that a lot of girls like really look at me sideways. A lot of girls play scared with me. And I understand that because again, it's hard as it is, but then you add on top of that, like just an assumption that there's so much going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I don't know. It gives people anxiety. Literally, at the end of the night, she literally was telling me, she's like, hey, like, yeah, like I feel very anxious right now because I don't know what you're going to go and say. So that's why right now I'm even being a little bit cautious with my words because I'm trying to respect her privacy. But the hard part is I do want to share my experience. I did tell her that. I was like, well, I share my experience. I never like bash anybody. It's not the vibe. But like, yeah, like I'm like, if I really do say something that's like crazy, I guess I'll send it to you beforehand. But anyways, like, you know what I'm saying? Again, still this energy of like anxiousness, this energy of like, yeah, I don't want you to say anything about me. Like, I'm afraid to get taken advantage. So you combine those two things and this is a tough little cookie. Now, with that being said, like I said, the few days after things were good. And then, I think it was like this past week, I was like, oh, let me know when you're done with your day. I don't even know why I said that, to be honest. I was like texting fast. But like that was like we were texting bing, 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 bing. You know what I'm saying? Like minute. It wasn't like time in between. And then after I say that, she doesn't reach out to me for like a day and a half. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I felt a little anxious. I don't really like that energy, right? It's like, I don't know. Seems like you could have communicated in a quicker amount of time, but it is what it is, right? You give people a doubt. Like we're still brand new. It is what it is. So she texts me and she's just like, hey, I've been working. I was working yesterday and then worked today in the morning. Just getting back to you now. Hope you had a good day. She's like, I'm still processing our hangout. LOL. I was like, all right, that's fine. So I took a little bit of time. I texted her back a couple hours later and I was like, hey, I'm glad you had a good day. And I was like, yeah, if you want to talk about it, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. I know you were feeling that way at the end of our, date too. But I was like, if you want to talk about it, we can. No answer. No answer for a day and a half. So I was like, it is what it is. Okay. Like maybe she just needed a moment. So I texted her on Monday and I was like, hey, I was like, let me know. I said, let's go grab coffee this week. Let's go co-work. You know what I'm saying? Do something out of the house because we had hung out and we had a date in my house. And obviously you guys know how that goes. So I was like, yeah, let's go grab some coffee. Same vibe, bro. Don't hear anything from her. So I've gotten one text from her over the last like 3-4 days. And I'm like, okay, this girl fucking ghosting me. That's kind of crazy. I'm like, wow. So anyways, I don't hear anything from her for like almost like, a day and a half, 2 days again. She's like, hi, sorry, like hectic day, something like that. And here's the thing, in that time before that, bro, I'm feeling hella like weird and like almost like guilty over like, did I do something that made this girl feel some type of way? You know what I'm saying? And again, I have to relinquish that because that's not the truth, right? Being in that secure mindset. But again, I navigate anxiousness, right? Like that is part of my pattern. It's never going to go away. It's learning how to handle those things, right? I have the tools. So I sit with myself. I talk to my friends. Like it is what it is, but I still get caught up right that. You guys know my triggers, right? My triggers are when somebody ghosts me, it's like any sort of abandonment, right? Their energy shifts or they cancel plans or whatever, especially in a situation like that where I ask you to like go get coffee and I was like, hey, I'm going to be free tomorrow or the next day. And you literally don't even answer me until like literally over 36 hours later. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there like, damn, like I really am about to get ghosted right now. But with that being said, and then she was just like, oh yeah, I won't be around tomorrow. She's like, how's your week going? What? So you don't give me like a another time, right? It's like, to me, I feel like you could have made a bigger effort there. I asked you to chill, right? I didn't ask you to chit chat over text. And not only that, you asked me how my week was going and you haven't talked to me for 36 hours. That is the second text message you have sent me in the last 5 days. And you want me to answer, how's my week? Are we real? And listen, you know what I'm saying? I'm one to give people the benefit of the doubt. I really am. I'm not the type of person to like hold shit against people. I'm not even saying she's a bad person. Genuinely, maybe she's really, truly busy. It is what it is. But what I think people don't realize is that your experience in the relationship is the most important thing. Like, it's like, how do you feel? I always ask my clients that. I'm like, how do you feel? We're always trying to figure out the other person, right? I could sit there and try to fucking analyze all day long why she didn't answer for as long as she did. Or I could look at it as a sign and say, Chris, do you want to be with a person that can't communicate? Especially off the jump. Like we have this fire ass date and you're sitting here being distant. I don't need that. Like there are plenty of women that I've met in my life that when we go on a date, the thing is, I don't even need you to answer within 8 hours. You could answer me tomorrow in the morning or even at night when you're done with your day, but say something. You know, I don't need to wait 2 days for you to respond to a text. I'm good. And I'm sounding like a chick right now. You know, it's like, I understand, right? It's like, I get that. But my thing is, I have zero tolerance for a poor experience. That's what I'm going to say. I have zero tolerance for a poor dating experience because why do I want to date somebody where I don't feel at peace? Does that make any fucking sense? And it's crazy because a lot of people, we pick people that don't bring us peace, that don't bring us good energy. Like I have an amazing life, you know, and trust me, I have there are plenty of people in the dating pool that I know are great and I know how they know how to communicate and they know how to show up. I do not need to wait for anybody that is not on that wavelength with me. So with that being said, I read that text and I'm like, I'm good. There's nothing for me to say. Because what am I supposed to say? Oh, you haven't answered me. I'm not starting an argument with somebody that I barely know. You know what I mean? We're not doing. And if I feel that way already, and we're in week 1, come on now. Clearly you're showing me that you don't really care. And if you do, you show up and you take accountability for that. And I don't need to explain that shit, really. And I feel like, again, a lot of the times, a lot of the people that I work with, the thing is, here's the thing. She was already kind of weirdly dismissive over the weekend, right? And again, I gave it the benefit of the doubt, right? I said, hey, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. I was open. I was honest. I communicated. Even when you took forever to respond, I responded within a good amount of time. And not only that, I doubled down and asked you to go get coffee. And you still just same behavior. And then also don't initiate another plan. You don't say, hey, like, I can't do tomorrow, but why don't we do the end of the week? I'm good on that. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys about, like, I don't know, just like having good boundaries, having good standards. You know how we were talking about last podcast that my marketing sucks, right? Here's the thing. I'm a kind man. I really am, genuinely. Like, I care. I'll communicate. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. If we start and we got a good vibe, trust me, the way that I show up in a relationship, genuinely, I'm honest. I'm not ghosting. I'm not fucking leaving you on red forever. It's not that. I don't do that. Because I wouldn't want it done to me, right? Like, I want a person that makes me feel safe and secure, and we do have a good vibe. You know what I'm saying? I guess, is it weird for me to have the expectation that if we go on a good date, that I expect to be treated like at least a solid friend at that point? You know what I mean? I don't need to be your best friend, but at least friend enough for you to stay in the loop with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think about some of my, new acquaintances or good friends. If I reach out to them, again, I understand if you're busy, whatever, I get it. But it's just, again, there's an energy, right? And again, like I said, paying attention to my experience. What was my experience over the last few days? Anxiousness. I'm feeling dismissed. Okay, honor that, Chris, right? And the same for you, right? It's like, if that's happening consistently to you in a relationship and you continue to choose that, remember that. It's like, that's a choice you're making. It's not on them. It's not their fault. It's not her fault. She's not a bad person. She might be busy, or she might not care, or both, right? Maybe it's a combination. Maybe I'm just on the back burner, but she's going to learn really quickly. That's not where I stay. You see what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm good on that. You're going to have to show up with a better energy than that to be here. I'm way too valuable for that. So that's what I'm trying to say too. It's like, this is a situation for me where like, nah, I trust me. I don't think I've ghosted somebody maybe in years. Honestly, I really haven't done it in a while. Genuinely. But there's just some shit I won't stand for. And that's just one of those moments. And again, it's like, if it's meant to be, sure. Right? You'll come back, you'll say something, or maybe we'll see each other. I don't know, randomly. But yeah, I just wanted to say in general, like, it's still frustrating, right? Like, another good vibe. I have a good moment, and then it's just like down the drain. And here's the thing though, this isn't some like woe is me bullshit though, but it is real. Cause I feel for some of my, there's some of my clients that I work with, right? That they do go through a lot of situations in a row where like, they're not getting chosen, or it's not the right person. It's not the right fit. And you just spiral sometimes. It's hard to feel like yourself when that's happening. It's hard to trust yourself. It's hard to be self-confident when you're going through a series of rejection. It's not easy. But again, I tell my clients this all the time, and this is the key to life, dating, business, whatever. You need to believe in it before they believe in it. It needs to be a blind trust that you deserve what it is that you want. Because it's the only way that it's going to manifest. Because what's the alternative to this? You put up with behavior like that. You don't set good boundaries. You deal with situationships. You're in relationships that are not really serving you. And the only reason you're doing that is because you just don't believe it for yourself. But I feel for you, and I get that. Because sometimes it really makes you question the fuck out of yourself. For me, like, the last few days, I'm like, damn, like, am I doing something wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, fuck, like, what am I doing? Am I too much, right? You start questioning. But again, like, also remember, it's like, it's about alignment. It's not about force. And I find myself doing that. So there's a giant exercise that I did, some really deep self-reflection. I think this is really powerful. And you guys, I really want you to, maybe you could do this on your own. But what I want you to do is I need you to answer 3 questions, right? But the first one is what do you think about the most? Whatever you think about the most is usually tied to what it is that you love the most or that you want the most. So for me, the things that I think about the most are women and social media. So if you guys go back to a couple of podcast episodes, right, I talked about how some of the things that I love the most, right, is attention. And yeah, I don't know. I think I have this idea of like wanting this relationship in my life so bad. And then also too, wanting this success. But I think both of those two things tied to like when I think about my day, genuinely, like swear to God, like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, it's probably thinking about like, damn, like this girl that I texted or I'd messaged, like what's going on with her? Am I making the right move? This, that, and the other. And then I'm thinking about like my business, like, okay, like, do I got to make a podcast today? Like, what should I talk about? Like, oh, I should make some videos today. Like, what should I make a video on? I want to do this. But then you got to get to the root of like, why am I motivated for those things? What do those things bring me? Right? We really need to understand that. But then the second thing you need to ask yourself is like, what do you worry about the most? Right? What is your deepest fear? What keeps you up at night? Right? What are you worried about? And so for me, right, I think I wrote down like, I don't know. I think I worry a lot about like attention, like women attention, honestly. So like constantly almost like questioning, yeah, like I don't know where I stand with certain people, or like somebody that ghosted me, like thinking about like, why it's happening, whatever. It's crazy how like those things are the things that worry me. And then also too, for me, again, the things that I worry about, I would say are like, yeah, it's like success. I fear being insignificant. I fear being like unseen. I fear, yeah, almost like not having this external validation. If I'm being really vulnerable, that's really what it is. And you guys know, because I've been really working on trying to reverse that. And it's fucking hard, right? This is just, I think it's like humanity, being human in general. This is what it is. Like a lot of us operate from ego. I know everybody's different though. I don't know what your thoughts are. I don't know what your fears are. Any of those things, but it leads you to understand what is controlling you, right? And so whatever you're attached to is what is ultimately controlling you. Like, so for me, right? What happens when I'm getting women attention and my social media is doing well, or I'm posting videos, I feel good. But the problem is also whatever consumes you in that way also controls you in a negative way. What happens when a woman doesn't give me attention? What happens to my mood? Down the drain, right? Let's say a video doesn't go well and I'm paying attention really hard to the results, or I'm stressing the fuck out all day long about making a video, then I don't make a video. Then what happens? Mood goes down, right? I'm living in this third world of ego. I'm living in this world of results and outcomes. And it's very controlling. And what I've been trying to really do is learn to have a general sense of self-trust. Trust in something beyond myself. I talked to you guys about just, I don't know, spirituality or God. This is why that's really important. And that practice of just giving up that control is so critical, but it's so fucking hard. It really is. Like, to me, this is the core of all the work that I feel like I've been doing is like, how do I give up just needing that attention? How do I genuinely love my life and trust myself beyond the value that I get from social media, the value that I get from women attention? Oh, the other question is like, where do you get the majority of your worth? You got to ask yourself, where do you get the majority of your worth? So again, if I was to answer that question, I'd probably say, if I'm being honest and I'm being open and real, I probably get it from social. I get it from girls liking me, right? I get it from that external validation. And really the question that really fucked me up the most was, who would you be if you lost everything? Your possessions, your achievements, your success. Who would you be? And I was looking at that question and I read that, I was reading in a book and I read that, I was in my bed and I was at night and I was like, holy fuck. I literally had to put the book down for a second because I was like, I literally answered the question. I was like, I'd be nobody, And I thought that just like understanding about life though, like is so critical because that truly is the reality. It is. And this is where like the intertwinement of like spiritual learning and then also like wanting to grow a business and like achieve and have success and have the things that you want kind of comes to like a giant impasse. Like this is the shit that fucks me up at night. I swear to God. Cause I read a lot of spiritual shit and I'm like, fuck, do I be like the Buddha and like Jesus Christ and give it all up? And just like, slum it out and just like help the poor and help the needy, right? Be this like disciple. Or like on the other hand, I'm like, fuck, like I want success or like I want hot girls or like, you want all this like egotistical shit. And it's like, I guess what I'm trying to cultivate in my life. And I think if I ever am to write a book in my life, I think this would be the intersection would be like, because I look at it as more of like a realistic approach to life where it's like, I don't think that you could completely eliminate ego, you know? It's like, yes, this idea of like wanting to have unconditional self-love for self and for others is really grand. And it really, to me, I think it's the best possible way to live. But then on the other side of it too, it's like, I think that there's always this like innate drive inside us that has these little like egotistical pleasures and desires, right? And there's suffering on that side. There's suffering on the side of ego. Because again, you're attached to shit, right? So for me, right, if I'm operating from this place of ego, right, I'm not paying attention to my relationship with God. I'm not paying attention to like being able to love myself unconditionally. What ends up happening is I live this life of like ups and downs, highs and lows, constant highs and lows. Because again, what I'm doing is I'm just chasing what I'm attached to every day, right? Oh, if I have a good day and I'm making videos and I got a girl in my corner today, I feel good. Right? Chris is on a fucking high. And then those days where like, again, it controls you, right? Let's say it doesn't work out or I lose some followers or, you know, the girl ghosts me or the people that I'm dating don't show up for me. What happens? You hit that rock bottom. You're fucking feeling like shit. Your anxiety's out of control. So what I guess I'm trying to do is almost like blend the two, right? Like how can I live a life that like has like purpose and I don't know, a little bit of like striving and this, you know, desire for success and desire for the things that I want. Like I do want, you know, a great partner and a great girl, all those things. But how can I lead a life that is still based on love and groundedness and a belief and a faith in that everything is happening for me for a reason, right? So when I do lose a follower or I do lose a girl, can I sit there and say, hey, God, thank you. I appreciate that. I know that you have a bigger plan for me. And I know that even by losing this thing today, and I know even by, you know, this girl ghosting me or me going through a series of setbacks, I know that you got my back. I know that you're actually preparing me for something deeper. And I also understand that life is also, again, they talk about in this book, I love it. My favorite author right now, his name is Jim Murphy. He wrote Inner Excellence, and the one I'm reading right now, I actually finished it, but it's like something about how to live with deep contentment, confidence, and joy, something like that. I butchered the title, but he talks about you in life, you have 1 foot in joy and 1 foot in suffering, because that's part of the world. Like difficulty, uncomfortability is part of the world. So there's just going to be times in your life that you're just going to have to face some of those things, right? There's uncomfortable emotions. So, you know, think about this, right? Like this recent situation, right? We're talking about this girl and she's not showing up for me. And, you know, I went on a date with that girl, like a month ago. She kind of went MIA. Had the girl from New York. She went MIA. The other girl, right, that I asked on a date and I told her I wanted to get drinks. She went MIA. Like this week, there was like, another girl I talked to at a bar. Now I understand certain situations. I also understand like my little bullshit ass. Sometimes I understand why the girl doesn't go for it because I'm just acting crazy. But without all that being said, right, all that builds up and what ends up happening, right? You got to face these uncomfortable ass emotions. And so on top of that too, you know, over the last like week and a half, I'm just gonna be very candid, right? It's like over this last year, I've been battling like random weeks where I'll be so emotionally overwhelmed that I'll start smoking cigarettes or I'll start smoking nicotine, and it turns into chain smoking. I smoke 10 in a day. I know it sounds terrible, but what I realize is, again, we talk about this all the time, right? It's coping strategy. It's not being able to face those uncomfortable emotions. And what ends up happening too is, and so let me do a quick caveat, because I want to talk about nicotine and dating and how those two things coincide. So for any of my nicotine smokers, and you guys could use this for any sort of addiction, but let me look this up, because it was really important as to why I needed to be really careful about getting rid of that per se. What ends up happening, right, is like I you know, all these emotions are coming up, right? Because I'm feeling stressed and I'm feeling like, oh my God, these people aren't showing up for me. So what ends up happening, right? You know, somewhere along the lines, I don't even realize it, but I'm like smoking and I'm like doing I'm having these like wild, like anxious thoughts and almost like panicky, right? And so there's a thing I realized, and this is ChatGPT, which is great. I talked about, being a little bit wild recently and being how like I've been, going out a little bit more. I've been like, talking to a couple of girls here and there, and like smoking nicotine, right? I'm just chain smoking, right? And it said, nicotine jacks up your nervous system. So it adds to the anxious thought loops and makes you crave more stimulation. That could be amplifying the overthinking about girls, texts, and results. So do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I'm getting these negative results. I'm not allowing myself to face them, right? Because I think to me, the right thing to do is face those emotions head on, allow myself to be bored, allow myself to feel the disappointment, allow myself to sit and face those emotions. But think about that, right? Like, and this is people with like fucking vapes and shit. You're sitting there, you're hitting your vape all day and you're wondering why you're so fucking stressed the fuck out. And again, you're just hitting the vape because the vape makes you feel better. But in reality, you're not allowing yourself to face what it is that you want to face. And then we start doing other shit. That's what I'm saying. For me, then it turns into all this extra dopamine that I'm chasing because I need that hit. And I needed to slow myself the fuck down and just stop. So I haven't been smoking. So that's been great. But great in the sense of like fucking suffering. That's what it is. It's like, I'm sitting down here looking through the barrel of a gun, just had a good situation, knowing that I have to stay firm in my boundaries on it. Also knowing that I can't sit there and just fucking rip a cig, you know what I mean? And allow myself to be bored. It's uncomfortable. But that's what he's talking about, right? 1 foot in joy, 1 foot in suffering. If we're going to get to that delayed gratification, we need to be able to instill the good habits that are going to get us to our goal. I was helping a client with this as well, right? It's like she's talking to this guy and it's the same thing as me, right? She's facing the same situation. She's dealing with this guy who's just a hookup. It's bullshit. She knows it's bullshit. We're talking about it's bullshit. Again, the hard part for her is having that belief that somebody out there can actually treat her with candor and with respect. She's really working on her worthiness. Because I was telling her about clients that I've worked with. I had 2 this week that had graduated. It always feels good when my clients graduate. I tell them to their face, I'm like, you're graduated, like you're good. See you later. Like we don't need to really meet anymore. I know when people are like that because the conversations I start to have with them are like, hey, I'm feeling great. I'm like, all right, like, what worries do you have right now? None. Tell me about your relationship. All good. We don't fight. Good vibes. We're communicating. We just moved in. And I don't know, it feels really good. Everything's on point. We sit there and I'm like, all right, you're good. You know what I'm saying? Job done for me. I'm like, all right, perfect. And then my client, the one I'm working with that is like, well, how do I get there? Like, am I going to get there? And it's tough because, I work with some people that like, yeah, like your worthiness, it just, we're working from an extreme. I always give you guys the example, right? It's like if I was a personal trainer and we're physically personal training, it's like some people come to me and like, yeah, they're like pretty overweight. Right. And then there's some people that come to you and like, yeah, like, they're fit and they're really just looking to get jacked. Yeah. I see those people get there a little quicker for sure. So, but with that being said, I was like, what do we need to do? Right. Emotionally, what do we need to do? We need to instill the habits that are going to get us to the result that we want ultimately in the end. So for her, like, that's why I tell her, I'm like, it looks like you setting that boundary and facing your emotions. I told her too, I was like, genuinely, I think she does need to take some time away from dating. She does. Because it's one after the other. And all it's like a cigarette. It's like the dopamine. You're just getting all this attention because you're not feeling and trusting yourself. Because the right person, it's just going to be natural. It's going to be easy. You're not going to have to force. You're not going to have to chase. It's not going to feel anxiousness. They're just going to hit you up and be like, down to hang out. They're going to hit you up and communicate. I know it's fucking crazy to believe that. It really is, especially for a lot of people that have never experienced a relationship like that. I'm telling you right now from working with fucking hundreds of people, when I hear them date the person that I know that they're going to be with long term, I swear to fucking God, it sounds the exact same every time. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's just really easy. Oh, wow. Yeah. They communicate. Oh yeah. They took me on another date. Yeah, they keep showing up. No, so far so good. So far so good. I mean, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop, but honestly, it feels really weird because we're just getting along. That's what it is. It should be natural though, right? I mean, think about anything in your life. Don't you want it to be natural? Think about your career. Don't you want to do something that feels good to you organically? For me, right? This is what I do. I fucking yap. This is easy. This is butter for me, baby. You know, it's like, I not only do I want a career like that, but I want a relationship like that. I want to be able to like meet somebody in the wild and like we just have a fire conversation. She wants to hang out with me. I want to hang out with her. We hang out. We communicate. You know, it's really not that hard. Again, pay attention to the experience. What's your experience? What happens when you're in a shitty job? You're like, I don't want to go here, right? I'm annoyed. So fucking quit. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to tell you the same thing about your relationships sometimes. It's like, bro, just let him go. Alignment, right? But again, it starts with the self-belief, and that's what a lot of people don't have. We don't have that internal self-trust that these things are out there for us. But do you see how I show up in my relationships, right? Like, yeah, I'm not getting the results that I want. But what happens, right? Even though I'm not getting the results I want now, right? Think about this. A couple things. God has a bigger plan for me, right? Trust that. Believe in that. Pray on that. Pray on that. Have gratitude for the things that don't work out for you. Seriously, I give gratitude towards those things. I'm like, okay, you're showing me that I need to face these uncomfortable emotions because I know that you're going to bring me something even better. I truly believe that. And yeah, I'm instilling the habits that I need to have, right? Because what happens if I set the boundary with her, then it leaves an opportunity for the right person to come into my life. But am I going to have to sit with my uncomfortable emotions of being alone and being a little bit bored and not distracting myself either with another girl with BS attention that I know is still not aligned? You know what I'm saying? Because I could just transfer this energy over and just start dating a bunch of other fucking people that I know are not it, or forcing relationships, right? For instance, you know, I met a girl, I was on a rooftop and we had like a little fire 45-minute conversation. Same vibe though. She's scared. She's like, oh, you must do this with other girls. Like she's hesitant to like hang out with me because of my social media, whatever. It's the same old fucking story with these girls every time. It's crazy to me, but it makes sense. Whatever. I guess I'm like, I also got to work on like, again, if I do want something, I got to be more intentional. And because sometimes I do spread my energy out, right? Let's say if I'm like talking to a girl and then I'm like, oh, I don't know about her. And then I'm like, oh, another one, bro, it's like, I don't know. That doesn't work either, right? For instance, I think that girl should set a boundary with me and she did, right? It's like she didn't really like let me in too quick and it was good because again, I think if it was natural, I would have chose her and I would have stayed on her. But it was like I was kind of spreading my energy out a little bit. But I guess to my point again, it's like it's just going to work. It's just going to feel natural. But again, if I don't set those boundaries, and I just then jump to her, or then I keep forcing a conversation with her, even though I'm not getting this good energy from her. That's not it. That's not it. Like I said, it's very hard to believe it's just going to be easy and clean. And yeah, it's really uncomfortable when you just don't have your person. But what I guess I'm doing for myself now is in these moments is releasing those people and just getting back to my roots, right? Allowing myself to be bored. It's interesting. When you allow yourself to be bored and you face your uncomfortable emotions, eventually you start doing things that you naturally actually want to do. So I'm more in a state of allowing rather than forcing. Although to me, that is my challenge, right? Because what do I think about all day? What do I worry about? It's fucking women attention. But how do I learn to navigate life and trust in my, in my process, or trust in the things that I know that I truly love? I got to relinquish the shit that I fear. I got to face my fear. What is my fear then? It's probably not having those things. Remember I told you guys, there's like, who would I be if I didn't have the success, achievements, attention, whatever? Nobody. But what is my mantra? Do you guys remember? I am significant even if nobody's around. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing a lot of work. Seriously, the work never ends. The work never fucking ends. It really does not. We all have different things that will drive us and then will get us a little bit worried. But do you see that cycle for me, how I'm being controlled by these things? And again, what do we need to do? We need to go in opposition of our pattern. This is all the things that I know that we've all been working on. So I'm happy about that. You guys are seeing it in real time. But again, it's like, yeah, I got to relinquish that girl attention. I got to relinquish the forcing. It's the same thing, right? I got to relinquish just forcing up a video because I feel like I need attention. It needs to be more showing up from a true, genuine expression of love. Let it be inspired, right? If I see a girl in the wild and we just have a good vibe, let it happen out naturally. It shouldn't feel heavy. It shouldn't feel forceful. It shouldn't feel inorganic. If it feels inorganic, that means you're running towards something that you're scared of not receiving. And that's not trust, right? I would say my last week and a half, I struggled with my trust this last week and a half. That's candid. And I could tell that I'm not, I know when I'm not trusting myself is when I start picking up those negative habits. A big one for me, right? Nicotine, stupid girl attention. That's not it. Forcing up bullshit on social media just because I need something. It's not it. So, but again, I know how frustrating this shit can be sometimes. And, also, this is a moment as well where I really want to instill self-compassion. You need it. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're going to get beat sometimes. But the key is to get back on track. The key is to recognize them, put it in awareness, right? That's for me, right? It's like I've battled this a few times this year where I've had little moments like this where I start to get a little out of control. Just get back on track. Just switch it over. Accept yourself. I'm not going to get mad at myself for doing this shit. Okay, yeah, whatever. I smoked a couple cigarettes. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? Get back on track. Get back to me. Get back to good habits. Get back to eating right. Get back to sleeping on time. Get back to going on a walk early in the morning. Get back to letting go of just fucking scrolling on social media. Make the little changes. For me, it's what little change can I make? Okay, you know what? Why don't I just take a little bit of break from just forcing any sort of girl attention? If I'm just going to text a girl don't do it. Stop it, right? It's like picking up the cigarette. Just no, cut it out, right? Cut out those little poor habits. Because then again, you're going to face some uncomfortability, but then I'm going to have delayed gratification. My body's going to look better. I'm going to feel better. My emotions, I'm going to feel more stable. I'm going to feel more at peace, right? Cutting out the shitty relationships. I am the owner of my peace. I am the owner of that. If something is disturbing you, or that's what I'm saying, if you are in a state of worry, if you are in a state of anxiety, you are making a choice for that somehow. And yes, you're going to have to face discomfort in changing that, but you're so much better off doing the work and getting it done. All right. There was 2 questions that I wanted to tackle this week because I thought they were great. And they're pretty big conversations, but somebody asked, I think this was actually on a TikTok comment, but they asked, what makes somebody emotionally ready for a relationship? That is a really tough one, genuinely. Because to me, there is definitely not a perfect answer to this. I truly believe that no one is perfectly emotionally ready for a relationship. Because every relationship is going to reflect back your patterns, is going to reflect back your insecurities. It's going to happen. It is. To me, it's more of are you willing? It's not necessarily are you super emotionally ready? I don't get me wrong. I do think that there's capability issues. There is. It's not just willingness. It's capability and willingness. And I think you build capability by, working with the coach, working with a therapist, doing self-study, doing self-work, right? I think that increases your capability for relationship. But then on the other side of it too, you also need a willingness. You also need to be ready to make the choice of love. Because it's not there. Again, there's just going to be times where you're just going to have to stick in things when you may not want to, right? You're really triggered. If you're somebody that, and I think it's way harder for avoidance, to be honest. If I'm being real, I really truly feel like the hardest attachment to heal is avoidant attachment. Because again, you're more inclined to run away from the issues rather than stay. And I know this firsthand. So I'm going to answer this question just even from my perspective. Am I emotionally ready for a relationship? You know what's weird is I truly believe that I am. I my heart of hearts, I truly believe And I don't even want to say this because I want to say, oh, when the right person comes along. I feel like that's half the battle. I truly do. I think I've had some right people come into my life. Like when I really think about it, there have really been some genuinely good people. And what I've recognized is like when you're an avoidant person, like, yeah, you just generally don't get in relationships. I mean, look at some of your friends. Like there's some of my friends that are always in relationships. Always. You know what I mean? Like they get out of one, they're single for a few months, they're in another relationship. There's people that are like that, right? And I am not. I am not like that. So, because I could sit here and say that I'm emotionally ready, but it's hard because I do think that, like I said, I think that there's some people that are just better equipped. They're more capable based on just their history and their past. I think that anxious people and secure people are more likely to be in a relationship. I guess that's obvious, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's like I've really tried to do everything in my fucking power to be capable. I've done so much work, so much studying, so much effort on trying to be way more vulnerable. And I am so different. I really am. I don't run away at the first sight of like any little conflict. I try my best to stick in and put in energy and effort. But I also learned a lot about self-trust. And I do want to pay attention, like, because that's the thing too, as an avoidant person, I feel like you always argue with the anxious, and every single like anxious partner that I ever dated, and I've dated probably only anxious, they all want to argue with me, or they all feel that I'm just not ready for a relationship, or I'm just not capable of commitment. And it's weird. It's like the weirdest catch-20 fucking two. It really is. Because on like one hand, I'm like, are you guys right? Because I'm not in a relationship. Like, it's funny. It's like my first ex from college, the one that like I dated when I first moved into this house. And it's weird. I've been in this house probably like, I don't know. It's got to be like 6-7 years now. It's crazy to think about. But like, even with her, she in the back of her mind is like ready for me to date somebody. Like she was one of the first girls that like saw me vulnerably, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like truly, like will I say, was she a good match for me? Like, yeah, personality wise, definitely. And I think that there has always been a part of me. If I look back at my relationship history and my patterns, what happens? Like I find a girl like that like, we really have this like good vibe. And for some reason, I just always have felt that it wasn't enough. And to me, that's a lot of what avoidant attachment is, right? It's always this like quest for the fucking perfect person, that you always feel like this perfect person is just going to come along and save the day and you're going to have no worries and all this bullshit. But that's not true. So that's like the half of it where like when I get this question of like, am I emotionally ready? It's like, I don't think I can give you a hard answer of yes on that yet. Like the only way I can really give you a hard answer on yes is like, almost like post me getting into a real genuine commitment. Genuinely. Because that's what I'm saying is like that partner, because, it's funny. It's like I still like DM her or she DMs me throughout the years. This is also, I'm going to bring up a weird little topic really quick because I saw it today and I thought it was interesting about how like, are there people in your life that you love? Like, do they stay with you forever or do you finally ever fully get over them? And what's interesting is that like, I don't know, I was watching this little clip of it and they were talking about how like they interview like a grandma and like this grandma was talking about how like she was still not stressed, but she still like had a feeling or a love for like that one guy that she had met when she was 20. I thought that was interesting because I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, that ex that I dated back in the day like that, like in a weird way, I kind of feel like I still am and always will be that for her. It's like she still checks in on me every once in a while and we're like in our 30s now and she's still married. That sounds fucked. But like genuinely, I truly think that she's happy and I don't believe that she would leave him for me per se. I don't want to say that's a hard yes, but I think that she'll always have this like weird soft spot for me, where it's like, I don't know, like she's rooting for me, it's like, but that's what I'm trying to say about the checking in thing though. And also the avoidance thing is that she, for as long as she's known me, has never seen me in a commitment, like a genuine commitment for longer than like 6 months. And again, it's for a really long time that I've been doing this work. Like I've been striving for that. I've been working towards that. And that's why I say it's like, it's weird. It's like, I think that I'm ready, but at the same time too, I think I have met some people that have been dating material. Like for her, sure. Like her for sure. And then like definitely even more recently, like the more, recent situation, I do feel like sometimes I look at our situation and I'm like, yeah, we really had a good friendship and we had a good vibe. And I think if I was like my friend, for instance, like the guy that's always in relationships, like I feel like I probably would just been in a relationship with her. Actually, you want to hear something fucking crazy about this? So this is another one of my boys. He's in a relationship right now. He was just in another one prior. So I would say he's also, I would say, quote unquote, a relationship guy, right? Relationship people always find themselves in relationships and single people always find themselves single. Weird how that works. But it's funny because we were talking about abundance and this shit blew my fucking mind. It blew my mind. Like he talked about how there's always going to be, he has an abundance mindset. We both talked about having an abundance mindset when it came to women. We were having this conversation last night in my living room and he's in a relationship and I'm not. And he was like, yeah, I just always believe like, yo, there's hella girls out there. Like there's always going to be girls. So like, I don't know. I'm going to date this girl because like, there's always going to be hot girls. I'm like, my definition of abundance is very more present focused. I'm kind of like, yes, there's an abundance of amazing people out there. I can't pick one. His version of abundance, and we were laughing about this because, yeah, I'm like, his version of abundance is, oh, wow, I think there's an abundance of amazing, beautiful women, and I'm going to choose this one because I know that there always will be an abundance of beautiful women. And mine is like, oh, there's an abundance, but I can't seem to pick one because there is an abundance of all these beautiful and amazing women. And I thought that was a very interesting way because it's like we're both operating from this place of abundance, but it just looks a little bit different when you're fucking avoidant, I guess. So for me, it's like, I do truly believe I am the most capable that I ever have been, at least from the standpoint of like, yeah, again, like communication, vulnerability, self-trust. I feel like I'm so much better with my boundaries. As an avoidant, you could really still have poor boundaries and people please. Like my definition of people pleasing as an avoidant person is telling somebody that I'm capable of doing something that I know that I actually don't want to do. So that's something that I'm getting better at as an avoidant, right? Is not actually getting into bullshit half-distant relationships. So to me, that's step one for an avoidant is like, you got to get rid of those like satellite relationships. Those relationships where like you half like the person and you're like breadcrumbing almost, or like you're giving them half of yourself, but you're promising the world. It's like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. Like if I know that like there's something there that I'm just not vibing with, I'm done. So again, now it's like part two, which is like, okay, can I be on my own? Can I stop with the BS attention? And can I really just leave room for the genuinely inspired relationship? I truly believe that some of these people that I have had a crush on, the ones that I sent the wild voice note to and stuff, like to me, I need to have at least the runway of like, I'm really attracted to you. Because one thing I will say, and this is me being really candid, I feel like the relationships in which, again, I had this really good vibe with them and there was like this good friendship, from the jump, I always had this like, again, it's the half-half feeling, right? That half-half feeling you get as an avoidant sometimes of like, it's like, I feel like we're vibing. I feel like I'm attracted to you. I kind of had that like attraction kind of issue with them. And there's obviously other things too, but like, again, it's just like, I feel like I'm going to find that full package in which I know that I can create that like best friend dynamic with people. That's why I feel like I have these high standards. I know that I could find women that also communicate, show up, all that kind of thing. It's like let me find that in the package that I want to find it in. Like, I do want a hustler, you know, it's like, I do want somebody that I am highly attracted to. I do. I want those things. Now, do I have to, I think again, I think the work for me to be fully emotionally ready, I think I still need to work on my humility. Genuinely. I still need to work on my relationship with God. I need to work on being able to, you know, truly lean into my truest self. And sometimes that means like giving up some of those egotistical pleasures and desires. And I think again, it's like, I'm very close to that, but also at the same time, I really don't know. I know that sounds weird. It's a weird answer where it's like, I truly feel like I'm the most capable and the most ready that I ever am. But at the same time too, it's like, I don't really know until it's presented to me and until I have an opportunity again where I really want to deep dive something with somebody and they feel that same way about me. I think that's when I'm going to see my patterns again. I think that's when I'm going to see, like, am I going to be willing to navigate those uncomfortable feelings of like maybe not wanting to be taken advantage of being able to relinquish the control, being able to show up in the relationship continually, vulnerably, with great communication and just good energy. But I truly believe I'm there. I really do. I really do. And, you know, sometimes it's frustrating. Like, yeah, like honestly, I really like almost like had a moment where I really almost broke down. Like I was like sitting in my car and I was like, fuck, man. You know, I really like, I do get lonely sometimes. And, you know, I self-isolate and I isolate because of these things. I isolate because I'm so stressed about my fucking social media and all this bullshit. And it's like, I know that right now what I want to focus on is building community, building strong male relationships where I can just really vibe and be present with people. And also as well as like cultivate genuine creations, like do things that I love that are not just for the attention. But sometimes it's a hard place to be, right? There's my fucking pattern. And yeah, sometimes, like I've said, it's like, there's like a suffering to it. There's like sitting in really fucking deep discomfort. But that's what's great about discomfort and this like feeling that I'm having right now and these challenges that I'm being presented with, because I know that if I'm able to withstand and I know if I'm able to stay sober and I know if I'm able to face those emotions without distracting myself and navigate this discomfort, I'm telling you guys right now, because you guys are going to see it live on this podcast, I am going to receive the things that I want. I am going to receive that great relationship. I am going to receive the attention, quote unquote, but it's actually going to be when I stop looking for it, when I stop forcing it, when I stop trying to force that attention, when I stop trying to force a relationship in my life. I have to learn that lesson. And when I'm fucking ready, it's going to happen. But that's again, the work right there is facing this right now, sitting in my car, like feeling like I want to fucking just like cry from fucking frustration. So I don't know. I think I'm ready, but I guess time will tell. All right. Last question. How do you get a dismissive avoidant to feel that they are worthy? Oh, fuck me. Let me look at the time. Oh boy. I know we're getting a little bit over on this, but fuck it. Because maybe I'll take some stuff out. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just let this one rock. Maybe this one will be just a little bit of a longer one. But, you know, I picked out this question because two things. Number one, I wanted to make the comment that I made last week, which is you can't do somebody else's work. And if you're looking at somebody and you're dating a dismissive avoidant, let's say you're dating me, like what can you do to make me feel worthy? There's nothing that you could do to force me to feel worthy. I would say, to me, it's just about the consistency and the vulnerability. But it, you know, the hard part is if, for instance, right, let's say you were dating me and I'm being dismissive avoidant and I'm not showing up vulnerable and, you know, I'm not, yeah, it's like, I think about like the old version of me where like, I'm not setting good boundaries or I'm being disrespectful. I'm looking outside of the relationship Um, there's nothing you can do to force that person to see his worth. There was nothing that any of those women that I've dated could have done to make me see that. And don't get me wrong, these girls tried. They really fucking did. I'm telling you, some of my exes, like, seriously, and this is why I wish nothing but the best for these women, because I think of like 3 off the top of my head. Like the long distance girl, yeah, that first girl I was talking about, this most recent one. I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, like those girls really loved me and they tried. And I think that's the only way to like help somebody with their own worthiness is just be loving and just be real. But you also need boundaries, because a dismissive avoidant will take advantage of you very quickly. And again, I know it's unfortunate because you know it's from their past trauma, but you still can't put up with that. Because for a dismissive avoidant to truly learn their worthiness, they actually need to lose you. It's true. I really didn't step in and really do this hard self-reflection and self-worth until I really lost something that was valuable to me. Like, I will say that long distance situation for me, that was one of the hardest ones for me. But I needed that relationship. And she tried. She loved me. She really did. But I just kept running away. I kept running away. I was disrespecting her. And yeah, I feel like for me to learn my worthiness is I had to lose her. I had to go get some teachers. I had to go get some coaches. I had to go get therapy. I had to deep dive books. I honestly had to feel like shit. That year sucked fucking ass. Like there was like 6, 7, 8 months in like that I just was so down bad. I don't even know how I was doing the podcast at that time. I just felt like shit. The fact that I was showing up here somehow, some way, fuck me. Congratulations, Chris, because seriously, I mean, but now if I'm going to answer this from the perspective of, you know, if you are a dismissive avoidant and you need to work on your worthiness, and it's funny, I would say actually a majority of the people that I coach are dismissive avoidant. And I think that they find me because we share a similar story. You know, they have those hot, cold relationships. They have the inconsistency. They have the chasing people that are treating them like shit, but then also pushing away every good partner. Trust me, I have been there. I'm still there. But again, like I said, more capable and ready than I ever have been. But to work on your worthiness is learning to build self-trust, is learning to actually feel your emotions. I was so disconnected from myself. I didn't even realize that I loved some of these girls. It's crazy. I didn't know. I didn't know how to handle my anxiety. I didn't know how to handle my fear. It's just like, I'll give you this example, right? Dating a dismissive avoidant is like trying to catch a rare Pokemon. Like you could throw as many Pokeballs as you want, but they always find a way to jump out of that shit. Because they're literally just like, imagine just like a scared wildling in the wild. You know what I'm saying? You're just trying to catch them and keep them pinned down, but they're just so scared that all they do is they run away. You get close, they run. But if you get far away, they kind of like chase you a little bit, and they get behind you and they stand behind the tree and they're like looking like, are you going to come back over here? But then you come close and like, we scutter away. We're like, no, don't get too close. So like, we're like this scared little child that just will not allow anybody to just get close. And it's because we're just scared to trust, because we've just been so hurt. You know, it's like when no one showed up for you early in your life, you don't believe that anybody will later. So again, and you can't force that person out of that, right? Like I said, it's like until I lost that person completely, like, and then I was sitting there in shambles, I didn't realize, like, I'm telling you, like, I remember sitting down like on the side of my bed, just like crying, bro. I'm fucking crying like like profusely. I think that's when my relationship with God really started, was in that moment. I sat on the side of my bed, tears. I'm like, God, please, like I don't want to do that again. I literally, I'm like pounding my bed like with my fist. I'm like, stop. I was like, why do I keep pushing away everybody that fucking loves me? I was like, I gotta stop. I was like, God, please. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And yeah, you got to talk to someone. you do, you know? You got to get it out. You got to come to peace with your past. And the hard part is you got to allow yourself to be out of control, right? If you want to gain worthiness, like think about it riding a bike, right? How do you build self-confidence? You got to allow yourself to be in a position of discomfort. You got to allow yourself to look stupid. You got to allow yourself to look weak. You got to allow yourself to look vulnerable. Think about the first time you're getting on a bicycle. You're going to look dumb. You're trying to pedal. You don't know how. You're trying to like figure out how it works. The same thing in relationships for a dismissive avoidant. You got to show up when you don't want to show up. You can't run away all the time. You got to send that text, right? For me, right? Like, again, I know the work I've been doing, right? Because again, the girl didn't answer me for like a day and a half. Old Chris, what do I want to do? Punish. Oh, this girl doesn't want to answer me for 2 days? Fuck this girl, right? Like, I'm done. Instead, what do? Showed up with candor. Hey, sorry you're feeling like that. Like, let's talk about it. I was there, showed up. I was vulnerable. Like, I was feeling intense anxiety, but I still showed up. Because I know that if I don't allow myself to emotionally open, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to learn how to ride the bike. Dismissive avoidance, that's what it is. You don't know how to emotionally relate to people. Point blank, simple as that. And you got to build up that worthiness. You got to build up that internal self-trust and strength to show up and set boundaries and also be vulnerable, both sides. Again, it's literally learning how to do both. It's weird. It's like you got to learn how to set boundaries and not people please, and also learn how to be and show up and be vulnerable and not run away like an avoidant. That's why I said, for my attachment, it is the hardest to be in a relationship. This is why I love doing what I do, because, I love those people that come to me because I'm like, I know the journey that it takes. It really is hard. Because like I said, it's both sides, because you're not only anxious, but you're also avoidant. So you're avoiding being anxious, but then you're so anxious as fuck, and you're doing crazy shit and people pleasing too. So like I said, you literally have no skills of like getting close to somebody. You're like literally you're emotionally retarded. I'm leaving that in there too. I don't give a fuck, because it's the truth. Yeah, I literally it is. It's fucking hard. So. Yeah, I guess that should be my new slogan. I help out emotional retards. Because I once was one, and now I'm better. I set boundaries. I learn to show up when I'm anxious, and I feel like I value myself so much more. I do trust myself. Now, again, like I said, it's a journey, right? So now I would say I'm really fit, but if I really want to get to that pinnacle, I got to keep going, right? Letting go of the forcing, letting go of the anxiety, learning how to manage those things, having the tools, knowing when I'm striving for ego, getting back into my relationship with God, trusting in something beyond myself, trusting my emotions, paying attention to my experience, being vulnerable, communicating. We're there, baby. We're close. So now it's just about trusting the process, enjoying the moment of my life. Don't lose sight of that, right? Because I want a peaceful experience, despite being in a relationship or not. All right. I love you guys. If you ever want to work with me, go to my website, apply. You guys could look at the fucking testimonials or whatever the fuck you need to do. I'm telling you, I don't really need long. Literally, give me fucking 8 to 12 weeks. There's no contract, by the way. There's none of that. So honestly, some people just start with a single session, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But it is intense. I do unlimited texting with the phone calls. So we're working together. Some people I talk to literally daily. You know what I'm saying? They're sending me voice notes when they're triggered. We're working through those things. You know, we're going to be working on your patterns. You're going to be doing worksheets. You know, there's homework involved too. It really just depends on each person. But with that being said, I would love to help you with this, you know, dismissive avoidance specifically, but anybody, right? I think anybody that's struggling with their self-trust, their self-worth, and they want to get into a healthy commitment relationship, it starts with working on the relationship with yourself. That is what I help people with, genuinely. It's the self-work. It's not necessarily you being in a relationship. When you're there, you know, my job is done. I'm like, you're happy and you're at peace? Cool. Cool. All right. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.